You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. All right, let's talk about it. It looks like Brian Kelly and his staff flipped a four-star linebacker, Christian Brathwaite. What can you tell us?
Good job on the pronunciation there. I didn't know if you were going to get it.
There's a town in Louisiana around St. Bernard Parish. It's Braithwaite.
I learned something new today.
There you go. You got it. Everybody paying attention. Go through what you learned today. There it is.
All right. Well, yeah, they did. Look, this is a linebacker out of Texas, out of Cy Ranch, so out of the Cypress area. But had been committed to Dave Aranda and that Baylor staff. Obviously, most people listening to this right now are familiar with a lot of folks on that staff and know that Aranda heads up linebacker recruiting when he was at LSU, and obviously now his head coach kind of oversees it all at Baylor. And they had landed him early on, and he'd gotten banged up and hurt as a junior last year. So going into this season, I think a lot of teams are kind of in wait-and-see mode, and LSU had watched him a few games in and gotten full game film and done their evals and went ahead and made the move and offered him. And he actually didn't even put it out publicly, which he had visited this past weekend. And we were just calling him kind of a top target and someone who could be offered. And he ended up telling us, look, I'd already been offered actually about a month and a half ago, but I was committed to Baylor. I didn't want to be posting about all of my offers and kind of just kept it quiet and talked about it with the Baylor staff, talked about it with the LSU staff, and visited this past weekend and got a chance to meet with Matt House and all them in person again. And ultimately led to him saying, hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and flip the commitment and let both coaching staffs know, and then went public with it this morning.
6'1", 225 or 205, excuse me. What can you tell us about him as a player, as a prospect, how they see him?
Okay, so he's a true middle backer. And in the off season, he got up to about 225. I would say now he said he's in the 205 to 210 range. So he was like, look, I shed weight pretty easily, especially going through the season and everything like that. So I think when you look at college, he's probably a kid who plays in the 220s. And I would say that the comp would be, at least to make it like very current, would be like a little more athletic Greg Penn, but someone who's going to play that middle backer spot, is going to really help you, in the box, in the run game, stuff like that, but can also cover. So, and I think they need more of that. I think the feel for LSU is that they've got, in Matt House's scheme right now, a lot of guys who are probably true or more will backers than they might be Mike linebackers, and Braithwaite is the guy who kind of really fits the bill as a Mike.
Shea, I'm really interested because I'm looking at his player profile at On3, and when you look at the at the prediction machine, there's Baylor and Prairie View and Texas Tech and Tennessee and all of his teams of interest. And next to LSU, there's like an NA, right? But then it says obviously that he's committed. Did LSU just kind of swoop in and steal this player when not many people knew that he was even on their target list?
Well, yeah, for sure, considering that he kept it quiet. Also, I'm glad you said that publicly, because now I can even just clip this and send it to the office. I was looking at that before, and so the RPM, which you're referencing, sort of is it factors in how many times you visited a school, when they offered, all these different things. And for him, early on, he had gotten like Prairie View and all that, which you see at the top, and then he gets Baylor and pops immediately. And then he stayed committed until he flipped and immediately became an LSU commitment. So at no point does LSU ever show up even on the radar there, because they went from never even offer, no one knew publicly that he even had an offer, to him going public with a commitment.
Interesting. Shea Dixon's with us. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. How important is linebacker in this class for Brian Kelly and his staff?
I mean, I think it's one of the more paramount spots. I mean, we saw them. Boy, Harold Perkins, obviously, is a great player, but at the time, that was considered, it was a massive land, but they needed linebackers. Like, it was, you got to get him. And even after that, they went out into the port. They had Weeks on board. They went and got Colby Fields. So I think that it's in a position they already thought they had to address some, and now you're leaning a lot on Baskerville, who's in his, presumably his final year, and then you've got Greg Penn as a second-year guy, but you're starting to bring along Perkins and then Tolan and, what are you going to get out of Colby Fields? We've seen Weeks play, but I think they want to be able to have more depth than that. And I think because of that, we've seen Weeks' brothers in the class. Now Braithwaite gives you kind of a true middle backer. And if they don't come away with another, like if we're talking about need here, if they don't come away with another high school linebacker down the stretch, I won't be surprised if they go to the portal again and get a guy who's played a good bit.
Let's look at numbers, Shea. So that's 23 commits now, if I'm not mistaken, 23 commits. And we know that there's no more hard cap, so it's not like they only have 2 spots left. What are we looking at as far as numbers and how many they may want to sign in this class?
I think and what you mean by, I guess, for people who don't know, what you mean by the hard cap, so it was always 25, right? You could sign 25 a class, and then you had to stay under 85 total scholarship players, and just natural attrition usually took care of it, and some people would oversign a little bit or sign under. Now the only rule, at least for this year, which seems ever-changing, is you got to stay under 85 scholarship players by the time fall camp begins. So whether that's picking up guys through what's now 2 transfer portal windows, which is kind of December through January, and then again right after spring ball, or adding high school guys, that's kind of how you can get to the 85. I think one thing we'll watch, Matt, is how many guys leave, right? I mean, there'll be a number of guys who are draft eligible that you got to convince to come back. And then I think you kind of figure those numbers out with, hey, guys we lose, we can replace in the portal and still be under the 85 type approach. So with high school, I think they're kind of moving forward saying, hey, we already were low on scholarships. We can kind of, as long as we feel good about them and we want them, then why not take them? So I won't be surprised if they go to, 23 now, maybe close to 30 high school signees, which would be double what Kelly did in the first year when he signed 15 high school guys and then 17, 18 transfers.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible how the way that they're having to piece this together. But it looks like you're setting the foundation and building moving forward. What other positions of need are there right now that they're aware of that they're targeting?
They'd like to add another O-lineman. You've got 3. You always want to take 4 or 5. So I think DJ Chester is one that out of Georgia that I feel good about landing at LSU. He's a top 150 player, and that would be a really marquee class if you add him. So if you do that, then you move on. I'd say tight end is one, considering that that's a position they just didn't really have much at before the year, and they want to be able to utilize it, and they only have 1 commitment right now. Good kind of at receiver, running back. I'd say defensively, linebacker we've talked about. You'd like to add another. They've got a good D-line haul, but you'll always take more. For me, I'm really, Matt, still look at corner. I think that's a multi-year rebuild, especially because everybody they are playing this year are older grad transfers or, super seniors or however you want to put it, where not a lot. I think Garner might be one of the only ones who can come back, and he's probably the highest draft stock of the group, almost, you would say. So even if you lose all those guys, you haven't played any of the freshmen yet. You might have to take transfers again at the position. They've got 3 or 4 corners committed, but I still think they need more, and they're still offering more corners kind of each few weeks. So it's evident they think the same.
Hey, Shea, with the open date this week, a lot of times that's when coaches hit the road and they take advantage of the time to recruit. What is the staff going to be doing this week?
Yeah, so Monday, Tuesday, today's Wednesday, so these would be 3 days of practice. And then all the coaches will be out Thursday and Friday on the road, and that's stopping in at the high schools. And then a lot of guys play on Thursday night. Obviously, most guys play on Friday night. So coaches will kind of be all over the country checking in on committed guys, some top targets for 2023 and 2024. And then they'll come back in town after Friday night. Brian Kelly said from there, they'll kind of spend the weekend with family and then regroup on Sunday. And then you don't get another break till after February signing day. So this is a little bit of a bye week, but really kind of split into practice and preparation, recruiting, and then take a couple days off.
Last thing, I would assume that there's going to be a pretty significant recruiting visitor list coming up a week from Saturday for the Bama game.
Oh boy. And it being at night gives everybody all day to get in, no matter where you're coming from. So yeah, this will, being the last regular season SEC game for them this year, being that it's Bama, the highest ranked, team that they'll play in Tiger Stadium this year. I think this is going to be the best visitor list they've had yet. And a lot of Desmond Ricks, who just reclassified, is a guy who's supposed to be coming in for that game. Javian Toviano, another corner, for this class will be in. All the commitments will be there. So, yeah, I think that will be by far their biggest recruiting weekend of the year. And, gosh, should be a good one. Be a great environment for sure.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon On3Sports. LSU flips Baylor commit Christian Brathwaite. Make sure you follow Shea on Twitter and go read his stuff there at On3. Shea, we appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.